Good morning, everybody. We're going to jump in and get started. Welcome. My name is Gary Kinane. I'm the founder and director of Seven Generations Ahead. For those of you who don't know us, we're in our 24th year as a sustainable communities nonprofit. We work to drive solutions related to climate, equity, and sustainability. And we're really excited to be amongst all of the partners that have really informed and shaped this seminar and also all of the legislation that's going to be talked about during the event today. Feed and Conserve Illinois, and we're particularly grateful to have been on the ground with the founding of the Illinois Food Scrap and Composting Coalition. We have other members. I haven't seen Walter Willis in a while. Walter, it's so great to see you here and all of you who were really on the ground floor of helping to create that organization. And also all of the other organizations, including the Illinois Environmental Council and Illinois Food Scrap and Composting Council, a coalition, SWALCO, SWANK, all of the organizations that have been a part of this, and I haven't named them all, but this is a collaborative effort, and we're just thrilled to be a part of it. As many of you know, food scrap composting and organic material diversion and related issues are being enacted across the country. And what we're finding is that so many of these initiatives are piecemeal and that they don't really achieve great results unless there's some strong state policy behind them. And this is really what this particular seminar is about. We're very grateful for the state Senate leadership. You'll hear from Senator Adrienne Johnson. Thank you very much for all of your work on this, and all the other state senators and reps that have been a part of driving these pieces of legislation forward. And last, I just want to, another thought just on economic development. Some years ago, the Illinois Food Scrap and Composting Coalition created an economic impact report that I think you'll hear a little bit about today. And the point of doing that was to really demonstrate that this is about, yes, about the environmental impacts of removing organic material from landfills, but it's also about job creation. And it's about the jobs that can be developed by building a robust food scrap composting industry within the state. And so we're really excited, really grateful to be working with Jen Nelson and Caroline French and the other SGA staff that are really leading the reins right now on this initiative for Seven Generations Ahead. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jen Nelson to kick off the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And Caroline, next slide, please. I just wanted to give a quick rundown of what we're going to be accomplishing over the next hour. We're going to have both Walter Willis and Senator Johnson presenting these two bills to us, sort of what is the heart of what they're going to accomplish in Illinois. And then we'll have some, and actually I didn't update the slide. I'm sorry. We're going to have some input from both Stephanie Katsaros and Malik from Brightbeat and myself about what the impact is going to be of each of these bills, looking at the bigger, broader picture. And then have Chelsea Biggs from Illinois Environmental Council take us through what are some of the ways that we can take action and have an impact. I think the exciting part about this Take Action webinar is that we have saved time. The second half of this is going to be rotating through 3 different breakout rooms where you will actually get a chance to take action while you're here on the webinar. You can record a testimonial that will be used for our website. You can contact your legislator. You can create and post on social media, and we'll have people to help you in each room to do any of those, whether you do them on an individual basis or for your organization or business. So next slide, and we will turn this over to you, Walter and Senator Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen and Gary. Good morning, everyone. I'm State Senator Adrienne Johnson of the 30th Legislative District, and I like to describe that as being booked in between Wadsworth near the Wisconsin border in Wheeling. I am so happy to be here and honored to be here with you all today. And then Walter, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Senator. Walter Willis, the Executive Director of the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, Illinois, representing 43 municipalities in the county, and helped the Senator draft this legislation, and also helped with this grassroots movement that you'll learn more about today. So let's dig into the bills.
Okay, we'll do that. So I'm honored to talk about Senate Bill 1397 and Senate Bill 1398 today. And these two companion bills create a circular economy for managing food and food scraps in Illinois. So we're going to start off with Senate Bill 1397. And this legislative measure creates a grant program for to expand and study compost and digestate use. And we're looking for funding to offset the cost of purchasing, transporting, and applying finished compost and or digestate. And it's really important. We're looking at the Solid Waste Management Fund to secure this funds, and we are it's promising, but we still have more work to do. The good part is that this bill has been assigned to committee, and which is a great thing. Sometimes it could be challenging getting our legislative priorities out of assignments, but it is moving, and it appropriates $2 million annually for a 3-year period. So we're looking at 2026 to 2028 to support this market expansion. And then, part and parcel to this will be a comprehensive research. And so looking to studying the environmental and agricultural benefits of compost and digestate. So with that, Walter, would you like to add anything else to what this legislative measure does?
Yeah, just a couple points, I guess. We feel that it's really important to focus on markets because right now the 40 or so compost sites we have that came about as a result of our 1990 ban on yard waste going to the landfill, a lot of them have trouble marketing the material they have now. And we all know that food scrap by weight is 20% of what we put in the landfill. So it would basically take the 500,000 tons a year of yard waste we collect and manage right now, and more than 4 or 5 times that much would be coming in if we had an effective program, right? So markets are very important. U of I would be the lead institution doing the research. And so that's called out in the bill as well. And we have been in discussions with the IEPA. I see several staff members on this call and trying to work through some of their comments as well. But I think that's it for 1397.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, we will move on to Senate Bill 1398. But before we do that, I know many of you know, because you all are, amazing environmental stewards, and you understand the importance of this. But, according to the US EPA, landfills are the 3rd largest source of methane emissions for human activities. And methane is about 80 times more potent than, as you know, carbon dioxide in over a 20-year period. And food scraps, and as Walter mentioned, it makes up about a little over 20% of the landfill waste, and it generates 58% of the methane emissions. And we always looking for legislative solutions for that. And, with Senate Bill 1398, it just phases in requirements to keep edible food and food scraps out of the landfills. So it establishes this food scrap hierarchy to prioritize in the order of managing food. And so waste prevention and reduction is what we're looking at. And then, of course, increase food recovery for human use and use in animal feed, and then composting and anaerobic digestion. And, just to go over just some high level procedures, and then of course I'll let Walter chime in. So it's this gradual implementation, because we heard with the original bill before we had, Walter and his amazing team and many of you on this call, help with writing this. We didn't phase it in quite like we're doing now. So it's this gradual implementation from 2028 to 2034, which is more reasonable. And then, of course, with the companion bill and the market study helping to build the infrastructure. And then also food scrap management infrastructure. So it requires compliance for entities within 20 miles of the compost facilities or anaerobic digesters. So expanding to 25 miles by 2035. And Walter, did you want to add to that? I'm sure you can give it a little bit more insight into this procedure.
Yeah, I mean, like you point out, 10 other states have similar laws, either outright bans, like California ultimately, or others that do a more measured approach, starting with the larger generators first complying and then ratcheting down over time. And that's the approach that this bill has taken, much like Massachusetts law and others like that. So it is proven. It's been done before. And I know that Jen and others will be talking about the benefits of this, but according to ReFed, we waste billions of meals every year in Illinois that could be not going to landfill. So we look at Senator Johnson's bill here as a food recovery, hence the the website name, and also it's a climate change bill. So, and we obviously again, we've been getting some feedback from other stakeholders. We do believe we'll have to hold meetings ultimately with the senator leading us and continue to work on this, but we think we have a really good framework on these bills.
Yes, thanks, Walter. And I mentioned with Senate Bill 1397, that bill has moved out of assignments. Senate Bill 1398 is still in assignments, but I'm optimistic that we will have some movement. I'm very happy to share that we have a number of my colleagues signed on as co-sponsors, and we're going to continue to do that. They understand and they get that because they understand that these two companion bills do three really important things. Really, just to summarize what we covered is, one, reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by diverting food scraps from the landfills. And two, as Walter just mentioned in his closing remarks, just increasing food recovery for human consumption. And three, just providing the data on the benefits of compost and digestate use in agricultural land. And I'm not going to send Jen's thunder because she's going to go into greater details about the benefits. But, really, this is just a really important legislative priorities, as Gary mentioned in his opening remarks. And we're just, hoping to, as we mentioned, in Illinois, create a circular economy, by expanding food waste recycling, increasing food recovery efforts, because that's really important. And as we said, reducing the greenhouse emission. And, they're going to talk about this in more details, but creating jobs and so many other environmental benefits. And so with that, I will turn it over to Jen.
If only Jen could find her unmute button. Sorry. Thank you. You guys have already covered a lot of these benefits, from the initial discussion, but I do want to just point out that the food system is one of the areas where we can have the biggest impact on the climate crisis, and doing a better job of managing how we are reducing the amount of food that gets wasted. We are making sure that our neighbors are getting fed, and we're looking at ways that we're recovering nutrients for soil health are all a part of the big picture of being able to make a difference. And it's something that we can all be doing. We can be doing it on a household level. We can be doing it on an institutional level. And so next slide, please. I'm just going to focus quickly on Senate Bill 1397 and just, I know, Senator, you already mentioned some of the facts about methane, but I think that one of the things that I find really really interesting in Illinois is that we are not using enough of our finished compost that we're generating already. And so we've got a potential to be doing a much better job of managing our soil health in Illinois, and adding food scraps into the process, if we can get clean food scraps, is going to improve the nutrient value of our health. This bill is going to be studying that, showing that. It's going to be looking at what is needed to help boost infrastructure in Illinois. As Walter mentioned earlier, we have 40 compost processing facilities, but not all of them are taking food scraps yet. And some of that is because it's complicated. We've learned from other states, and we've learned in the sites that are doing it now in Illinois that there are issues with contamination. And Senate Bill 1397 will allow for helping to build the infrastructure that we need to make sure that contamination isn't going into the compost. And for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, that could be the plastic bags, it could be the packaging that food comes in. There's all sorts of different things that that can get mixed in, and there is infrastructure that's out there that can help to do that. I think the final big thing I'll mention about Senate Bill 1397 is that, creating new markets and opportunities for businesses in Illinois is behind all of this. That ability to not have to order finished compost to be shipped across state lines, but to be able to have it available in Illinois, is just the right choice to make for our economy. And these kind of benefits are all ones when we get to the take action part, like think about why this is important to you, to your business, to your life, because these are the messages that people need to hear. I don't think that compost is front and center on people's minds. They don't always know how good it is, and they don't always know what an impact they can be making. So I will turn it over to Brightbeat to talk a little bit about Senate Bill 1398 and the benefits.
Thank you, Jen. I'm going to let Malik present this, and we're really excited. We believe so strongly that these companion bills need each other and that one strengthens the other. In addition to the fact that creating a hierarchy and making certain that the understanding of organic waste going to compost is critical to infrastructure receiving a consistent stream. That is, I think, strongly understood. What we really want to focus on is the community impact, the social impact, in addition to the environmental, also the business case for why 1398 is so critical. So take it away, Malik.
Yeah, received. Thank you, Steph. So what we're seeing here is that we have a bit of a crisis, but also a grand opportunity with these bills. About 12%, which is 1 in 8 of Illinoisans, we face in food insecurity, and there's billions, about almost 6 billion pounds of annual waste here. And this work is already happening. We've got a lot of community organizations regularly rescuing from grocery stores, and they do redistribute this food at a pretty good scale, but there's just so much more going to waste. A case study we looked at New York seeing 60% of donations jump in the first year just from having the infrastructure. And Vermont had their donations tripled in the first couple of years. So this shows how other states, some may consider progressive states, you implement these programs and they work right away. And they, even in Massachusetts, there was 150% job increase for these sort of initiatives through composting. So overall, operationalizing this value of hierarchy, it's going to do good for us in optimizing the use of resources in our food systems. So we do have some actions that we can take as well for support that I think would be good to highlight.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Malik. So I think at this point I get to share my screen, Caroline. And I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea Biggs from Illinois Environmental Council to lead the way in talking about what are some of the ways that we can actually take action and why is taking action important.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you all so much. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Perfect.
Okay, there we go. Wonderful. So these bills are extremely important for us at the Illinois Environmental Council. Not only at the core of these bills is it about emissions reduction, which is the number one way to fight climate change. It's also supporting the agriculture industry and fighting nutrient pollution. There's clear, as we've heard, social impacts around food insecurity, knowing that 1 in 8 Illinoisans is experiencing food insecurity, being able to connect those dots and create legislation that supports solving those issues as well is extremely important. And then finally, as folks have really drove home the importance of building a green economy here in Illinois, creating jobs that are supporting solving the problem of the climate crisis and not just creating jobs in areas that are continuing to fight against us. So those are just a few reasons why we're really supportive of these bills and pushing them. I'm really excited to talk about how we can take action on both of the bills today. So the first, SB 1397, we are able to file witness slips for these bills, and I highly encourage everyone to file witness slips today ahead of a webinar tomorrow where our legislators will be discussing and learning more about these bills. Witness slips are great. Also, extremely important to follow up your witness slips with phone calls and emails to make your voice heard. Legislators don't often always see witness slips when they're completed. So if you do them, they go up on the site, and when it's in committee and being voted on, folks see them. But in order to get your voice heard with your legislator, very important to follow up those witness slips with phone calls and emails. SB 1398 is not ready for witness slips yet. However, IEC has created a form where all of you can complete to automatically have emails sent to your legislators in support of this legislation. So quickly, and I know we'll have time to do these in the breakout sessions in a bit, but I do want to show you where you can find these items. So I'll have them linked. I'll share it in the chat here in a moment. When you're on the ilga.gov website, if you search on the home screen for your bill number, I'm sorry if this is really tiny, but it is the way it looks. So you put your bill number in here on the side, you go there, you'll go to the action. So you'll see it's assigned to appropriations. You go to notice of hearing. I also will give you this link, but in case you're looking later, and then you create a witness slip here. So you'll follow the steps. I have some steps in the slides we'll share with folks so that you have that for how to fill it out. And because SB 1398 is not quite ready for witness slips, we do have this form here. It auto-populated mine because I complete a lot of these forms, but you'll fill in your information, hit next, and it'll get you to complete a message and send off to your legislators. I'm happy to answer questions that folks might have. I'm going to drop some links in the chat for how you can find your legislator, how you can get that witness slip for 1397, and how to complete the form for 1398.
Thank you, Chelsea. All right, so we have all the links right there. I think at this point, we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and talk a little bit. I have a note about the economic assessment report. Someone wanted to make a comment about that?
Yeah, Jen, I did. We did through the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition back in 2015, hired a group called Sarah Inc. to do an economic assessment of the value of food scrap composting in Illinois. And really quickly, if Illinois reached a midpoint of 65% diversion, 3,185 jobs paying an average salary of $50,000 a year annually could be created. 290 million in economic output for the state annually. 10.5 million in local and state tax revenue. Over 2 million tons of diversion away from landfills annually, and that would save 800,000 metric tons of CO2 in greenhouse gas emissions reductions annually. And so those are some of the points that obviously, we want to try to drive home when thinking about passing these bills.
Thank you. Johnson, I know we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but would you like to close our webinar today?
Sure. Thank you, Jen. I want to start off by saying thank you to Jen, Gary, and of course, Walter, and all of you on the call. You are amazing environmental stewards and really appreciate your support. And thank you for the breakout rooms. They were really timely on how to reach out to your legislators and how to promote the bills on social media. It's really great. And so I just want to thank you all in advance for all of your support, all the great work you've been doing for years. And I really do feel like these two bills are so important, these companion bills. And with your support, I know we will get them to the finish line. So thank you very much. And I look forward to maybe seeing a few of you in Springfield. And perhaps you will want to testify during the hearings. But again, just thank you very much for all that you have done over the years and all that you continue to do. And, and as Jessica Stevens mentioned, and thank you, Jessica, for what you said, because the youth, they do feel like there's climate doom, and we have to show them that we really care about the environment. Illinois, we have really strong policies, and we want to build on that, and together we can do that. And as I mentioned in my remarks, when Jordan asked me why this is important to me, that's one thing that I mentioned about the generations to come is so important. And our youth, they are our future. And we have to let them know that we are doing something about it. And as Walter mentioned, it's about time for state policy so that we can move the needle and continue to do the great work that we know we can do in the state of Illinois. So thank you very much for participating in today's webinar.
I would echo the thanks right back to you, Senator Johnson. Without having these bills here, we'd have no work to do today. And this is exciting. We do have a chance to make a difference. I do want to encourage everyone who's still on, if you haven't been to the Feed and Conserve Illinois website, please check it out. You can sign up to be a part of the ongoing grassroots effort that we have to move these bills along. And we need everyone's help and support. And I can't say thank you enough to you will receive all the links that we've shared. You'll receive a copy of the slides that have been shared as well. But thank you for being here and for your time today. And be well, everybody.